Alright, let's talk about the hardware that is used with the QuikScout software. I assume most coaches out there already have a digital camera. The type of digital camera that we prefer you use is a mini DV camera. It's a camera that has like the little miniature VHS tape. It's a mini DV. It has a DV port, which stands for digital video, port right on the side of it. If that's the kind of camera you have, that's the kind of camera that we like the best because you can easily plug that camera directly into your computer with just one cable. But if you are using something other than a mini DV camera, such as a hard drive camera, a DVD that maybe you traded, or a VCR, we do have other pieces of hardware here that I'll talk about that you can use to record that video also. The second piece of hardware I want to talk about is the FireWire port. The FireWire port you see in the upper right hand corner of this graphic is what you plug into your computer if your computer does not have a FireWire port. Some computers do, some computers don't. The one you see in the picture there is for laptops. The one for desktops is very similar. They just slide right into the computer. Third piece of hardware is an analog to digital converter box. Now if you're using a mini DV camera, you can easily plug that right into the computer. But if you're using something other than a mini DV camera, you need to be able to plug that device into the computer, and you really just can't plug like a VCR in. At this time, you can't just pop a DVD into the computer and use the video that's on the DVD because of the way that the video is encoded. So we have this thing here called an analog to digital converter box made by a company called Canopus. It allows you to plug any video device into it that has red, yellow, and white, which is pretty much any video device. So you could plug a DVD into it, a VCR, a hard drive camera, pretty much any device you want to plug into it, you can plug into it. And then you can plug into the FireWire port of your computer. And that allows you to easily record any video. You know, you get something in the middle of the season, you don't want to be scrambling to figure out how you're getting on the computer. With this device here, you can pretty much capture from any source. Fourth piece of hardware I want to talk about is the external hard drive. External hard drive allows you to store your video on the hard drive. You know, the video files are kind of big when you're capturing them. 5 minutes of video is 1 gigabyte of space. So if you capture a 45-minute game, it's going to be 9 gigabytes. So I usually recommend to coaches that they go out and get a 500 gigabyte drive, and depending on what sport you are, you can hold 30, 40, 50, 60 games at one time on that drive. So you can easily capture your entire season, you can put opponents on there, you know, you can store a lot of stuff on there. So let's look at these pieces of hardware a little bit more in depth. First up is the FireWire card. If your computer does not have a FireWire port in it, this is something that you would need to go out and purchase. You can usually purchase something like this for about 20 bucks. You can get them at Best Buy, Circuit City, Walmart, you know, your electronic stores. If you look at the FireWire card I have here, the two ports on the far left are actually USB ports that just happen to come with it. But in the middle you have a 6-pin FireWire port, and on the far bottom right you have a 4-pin FireWire port. The 6-pin FireWire port is something that you see in most desktops, and the 4-pin is something that you would see on a laptop. It's also something that you would see on a mini DV camera. If your computer does not have this port, this is something you need to go out and purchase. Alright, let's talk about plugging the card into the computer. On a laptop it's very simple. You just take the temporary card that is in laptops by pushing a little button. You take that card out, and you pick up the FireWire card and you just slide it into the same place, and the laptop should actually recognize it. In a desktop computer, it's a little bit different. You need to take the back off of that computer and slide the card into the PCI port, and now it shows up in the back so you can plug your stuff into it. Okay, now that you got your FireWire card plugged in, now I'm going to show you how to plug the camera into this. Now this is if you're using a mini DV camera. If so, we're going to take a 4-pin FireWire cable, just below my finger there. We're going to plug it into the camera. Then we're going to take the other end of that cable and we're going to plug it into the computer. Now you're plugging it into that card that you plugged in, the FireWire card that you plugged in, or if your computer already had a FireWire port, you can plug it directly into that one. As soon as you do that, your computer should recognize that you have a camera and it should be ready to go. Alright, now we're going to go to a piece of hardware that we can use if we're not using a mini DV camera to record our games. This is a Canopus ADVC-110 device. It allows you to plug any video device into it using yellow, white, and red. Then you can go from the FireWire port on the far right into your computer. So you can capture from a DVD, a VHS, whatever it happens to be. So the first thing we'll do is we'll plug the FireWire cable in, plug it into the FireWire port on the far right, and then we're going to plug it into the computer in that same FireWire port that we plugged the mini DV in. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug the DVD player that I have in there, but it can be used for anything, DVD, VHS. This is really helpful during the year if you get some video device that's not mini DV and you need to get it on your computer. You don't have to scramble around trying to figure out how to do it. You just use this box and it works out just fine. So I'm going to go into the video out of my DVD player, since the video was going out of the DVD player. And I'm going to plug those into the video in of the cannabis box, since the video is going into the cannabis box. And then the last thing I'm going to do is make sure with that silver button I toggle it so that analog in has the light on it. That way, because we're sending analog video into the converter box. Once you do this, your computer should recognize the device and take you into Windows Movie Maker and get you ready to capture your video. One quick thing about the Canopus box, well, we do recommend that most coaches go out and get a analog to digital converter. The Canopus ADVC 110 is the one that I suggest to coaches, but it's not the one that's actually required. You can go out and get any analog to digital converter box you want. As long as it's Firewire, a Firewire box, you can use it. I like the ADVC 110 because it's the one that I've used the most, I'm the most familiar with. So if I have to help coaches get through it, I understand it very well. But you know, any analog to digital converter box will work out just fine. You do have to buy it online, at least this model online. The place that I've seen it for the best price is called B&H Photo. It's a little store out of New York City. You can get, I think you can find them at bhphoto.com. It's about $240, but you do have to make sure you order the power supply when you order the box, because it is sold separately. The box is about $200 and the power supply is around $40, so you can get it for about $240 there. Alright, the last piece of hardware we have is the external hard drive. This just plugs into your computer through the USB port or the Firewire port. I'd recommend 7200 RPM and a USB 2.0. In this case, I'm just going to plug it right into the USB port of the computer. You saw the light come on, computer easily recognizes it. It shows up in My Computer as like a G drive or an F drive. Alright, so that's a nice overview of the hardware that it takes when you're going to run the QuikScout software. You've got your digital camera, which is really what you're capturing your own video with. You've got your Firewire card. If your computer doesn't have a Firewire port, you would use the card instead. Your analog to digital converter box, which is for capturing video from pretty much any source, whether it's DVD, VCR, different kind of camera, whatever it happens to be. Fourth one is the external hard drive. This is used for storing your video. Again, 5 minutes of video is 1 gigabyte of space, so if you've got a 45-minute game, it's going to take 9 gigabytes. And if you need to store 10 games, that's 90 gigabytes. I would recommend starting with a 500 gigabyte drive. You can get those for about $100 online or at any electronics store, and that should get you plenty of space for your season and if you're going to scout your opponents at the same time. And that's pretty much it for the hardware.